Hi, I'm Josephine from we.CONECT and this is Rosey from Toyota. Rosey, could you introduce yourself first, please?
Yes, thank you. My name's Rosey McEvoy. I work for Toyota and I am in the Torrance area, moving to Plano soon. I work in software license management and we're part of the Office of the CIO, and we report up through the Office of the CIO and into the CIO's area.
You work with the CIO and you have more than 20 years of experience in the licensing field, so I'm sure you can tell me if the role of software asset management has changed. Is it a C-level topic now?
We don't have a designated C-level executive. However, the CIO is our champion, and his chief of staff is the head of our group. So basically we have a lot of support. It never used to be that way. It used to be in some far-flung corner of the organization, and it wasn't given the respect that it really deserved. There was a lot of good work that went on with hardware assets before, and of course now the focus is much more on the software.
So it got promoted a bit.
It did, it got promoted, and because of the change of management we were able to make more progress. We actually were able to bring in some tools which they hadn't been able to do previously, and we got some very good support.
You've been involved in a couple of projects concerning software asset management. What has been a milestone of your work?
One of my best accomplishments, I think, has been working on an audit that I had to manage from start to finish, and it was the first one I'd ever done. And I think that when we approached that, I didn't understand anything about the infrastructure. I didn't know who the people were. I didn't know the license rules. I didn't know anything. And so I had to learn from scratch. But eventually what happened was I learned it so well, and the audit company came on site. I think at that time it might have been Pricewaterhouse, might have been Deloitte. And they told me what their rules were. And I went and programmed those into my system, and I produced the results for them and showed them the results. And in fact, that's what they accepted.
And how do you collaborate nowadays with the auditors?
Well, we have now a much stricter discipline. We have an audit management team that gets together as soon as we hear an audit notice. And we engage legal and contract specialists and IT and finance and the technical people involved with the products, or the ones that we think are going to be involved. We bring them together and we discuss our strategy. And then we have two specific documents that we will require the OEM and also any agent that they want to use to negotiate with us and sign. And we're very, very strict about it. We never decline them, of course, their right to audit, but we do say that you can't audit until you've agreed to these terms.
Okay. When you asked European SAM experts what gives them personally headaches with SAM, they always say audits. Would you say the same?
I think audits, but as a precursor to audit, it's probably the lack of understanding. The engineers and the IT asset management folks or software license management folks, we don't speak the same language, and we have to bridge that gap. And in Europe, of course, you've got many different languages. You're accustomed to that. You probably don't find that to be so much of a challenge. But here we do. And so I had to learn to talk tech speak, if you like, and they have to learn to do, a little bit about software licensing.
Okay. You're here to present a case study, SAM at Toyota, and you're also going to talk about the impact of two companies that become one. How is SAM organized at Toyota, and how was it before? We had two companies before, very separate, and so the processes for working with licensing and working with suppliers were very different in the two companies. And as we've come together, we've had to build more mature processes that have taken in the best from each of the companies. So we've struggled with that because we had to learn to understand each other, of course, and we come from such different mindsets. So I think that now we have a much more solid foundation on which to move forward, and we have great understanding. What are your key takeaways from this project?
I think the key takeaway is we have to be more disciplined, and we have to communicate extremely well. So we did a pretty good job because we were able to, there were no audits as a result of what we did. And that's quite remarkable in terms of what we were doing. And so we feel successful. It's not finished yet. It could still happen. We feel successful, but one of the biggest takeaways for sure is the communication with the suppliers, the communication internally, the plan, and just keeping going.
Let's take a short glimpse at the future. How do you see the software asset management at Toyota in 2 years?
Well, now that we've got our base to work with and we understand more about the contracts and the suppliers, and we're merging our processes for software maintenance for the suppliers, Well, we'll now be able to build on that with a couple of extra people, one from each company, to really inform ourselves of best practices, and we'll probably develop a really good process going forward. And now we can have a single set of tools and a single set of practices instead of separate and disparate, because we're in a single data center.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's a relief.
How do you like the conference so far? Do you feel that the topics that are important for you are addressed here?
I think that so far the topics have been very good. I'm very interested in audits. I'm very interested in the future, in SaaS. There's been a lot of discussion around everything that I'm interested in. So far it's been really good.
Cool. When you're not busy dealing with software licenses, what do you do to get your mind off work?
If you'd asked me 20 years ago, I would have given you a very different answer.
Of
But
course.
these days, I like to cook. I love to dog sit. I like to read. I like to walk. I like to go out with friends. Sometimes go to movies. And very often, I find good things to watch on Netflix.
Cool. Thanks a lot for your time, Rosey, and for the audit debate you're doing here.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks.